discussion with you about censorship. I'm watching Weekends and a Conspirian, Nando Vila. One of those shows that I really learned about through Michael Brooks. You know, in his memory, I still watch. Pretty good show today. Yeah, second part of it, we're talking about censorship. And I agree with everything they said on there, but I feel as though I should put my 2 cents in. So there's a lot of talk about how maybe the COVID-19 was out of a laboratory, weapons laboratory in Wuhan, China. That may be true. I've talked about it before, how to me, America basically has gotten to the point to where the rest of the world is always trying to catch up. And the U.S. government messes with all kind of chemical weapons as well. And they've been doing it for a very long time. And so, it's like if we 2 different gangs, and I got guns and the other group gets machine guns, and I get machine guns, then that raises the chance, a kid might get killed, might accidental discharge. Yeah, that's bad. But why did that happen? Because they're scared of what I might do. And I just think we should understand that as Americans, the global perspective of the world we live in. So the doctor on there, he made a great point about how in essence that a few months ago we couldn't even have had a discussion. We couldn't even have talked about there being a possible link. It'd be a conspiracy theory. It'd be flagged. It'd be blocked. Now, I'm not really a big censorship person. I do believe that, as Ben Burgess said, we can't cancel our way into a better world. Can't do it. I get it. America's history is one of cancel culture. The Red Scare. And, calling everybody communists back in Hollywood. The Lavender Scare, saying everybody's gay. McCarthy, he was calling everybody gay and all that stuff. So America's always been a cancel culture. Hoover trying to have people kicked out of the country. America's always been this. It's the wheels turning. Wheels turn, tables turning a little bit. I think that the reason why Facebook and these groups, Twitter and other social media, they have to be so strict on conspiracy theories because the government and the U.S. government has kind of abdicated its moral role of kind of keeping an even keel in the country. Like, before Trump, and people will say Obama started it, but I don't think so. Before Trump, you actually had presidents that when they became president, it was about the betterment of the country. It was about the betterment of the country. That's what it was. And when you got Trump, he basically kind of like destroyed it. He basically kind of like took it for advantage and took it for a ride. And that's basically what he did. And that was wrong. So what happened is everything's kind of in flux. Everything's kind of shaky. You see, it's kind of like they say, like, okay, back to some rights. When you had black athletes, they didn't kneel. Why? Because they had Martin Luther King. They had leaders that could do it for them. So you didn't have to Godfather of Soul, James Gray. He didn't have to do this. They might, say their opinion here and there, but for the most part, they stuck to their role, to their entire role as an entertainer. I really don't, it's really difficult to weigh in on some of the issues. Because like I said, this all flows from the fact that Trump abdicated his responsibility. Really, Trump set the board on fire. That's what I call it. He set the chessboard on fire. The world is more militarized. You got COVID out here. You got a bunch of people that made mockery of masks. All this created an environment to where conspiracy theories can flourish. He said the air's never been cleaner, the water's never been cleaner. Lies. All lies. So when you have a president that goes out and says blatant lies like this, blatant lies, and he leads the Republican Party in this path, social media's got to respond. But they don't know how to respond. They don't know how to respond, you know? So yeah, I mean, people say, well, like the doctor said about how the doctor said on there about how they couldn't have talked about the Wuhan conspiracy lab leak. I think it's okay to have a discussion, but I think we have to have, you can have an opinion, you can believe that, but make your opinion with knowledge. It's one thing to have an opinion about stuff like that, but if you're using that narrative to knock China and to knock Asian people, you're wrong. And what's worse, you're putting lives in danger. And I believe that's basically that's the fear of social media, of Facebook, of the social media sites. That's the fear there, is that if we let this formulate, people will die. And I get it. They have an immense responsibility. They have an immense responsibility to the public, and so, they have an immense responsibility. And I respect that. And I think that anybody that's concerned about free speech should respect it as well. People have gotten their ass whooped behind this racist trope that Trump put out about the Kung flu. It's not as though this stuff is happening in a vacuum. Free speech has a cost. Now, as far as making these social media sites, utilities that are somewhat controlled by the government, I don't have an opinion. That's for the grown-ups. That's for Michael Brooks. People like him. People of that stature. I don't have an opinion on that. But I do feel like Trump should handle COVID more seriously. I do feel like the whole world was waiting on America to handle it seriously, and they didn't. And we let everyone down. I will never, ever trust American public health again. I will never suggest anybody trust American public health. I never knew I lived and worked around so many anti-scientific people in my entire life. All my life, I just thought people didn't know about climate change. Like there's things I don't know about. Doesn't mean I don't believe it. I don't care to sit down and educate myself about it. And I always thought that, and I've talked about it before. I realized with Trump, with COVID, with climate change, that for these rednecks, we don't even live in the same America. They're willing to die for their beliefs. They're willing to die. They're willing to kill. They're willing to kill everybody that I know. They're willing to kill me for their idea of America. White ISIS is a thing. And I understand that white rural politics is based upon that. It's based upon cruelty and harm and subjecting. Stay on subject. My point I'm making is this, man. Social media, they make the right decisions, they make the wrong decisions, Kyle Kalinske, I love him. I think the cat's funny, but he's kind of a grown-up. He's kind of like Michael. He's close to me. He says that he doesn't really believe in canceling these people like Alex Jones. That basically Alex Jones and Trump losing favor, that is a bad thing. I don't agree. I think that Trump is one of to destroy. You have to like use everything which is supposed to destroy because of everything that comes from Trump. I think it's important to know and understand this. Trump didn't play by the rules. We couldn't either. And I think that for people on the bottom and people on the left, I think that we have to, constantly acknowledge that, And I personally, like I said, I don't have an opinion on that. I just think that when it comes to social media, I don't think it was social media's role originally to be this moral arbiter of what's right and what's wrong and what's just. I mean, you had Alex Jones, you had racist classes shit on, that ain't nothing new. You had stuff on there years ago with Bush and Obama. I had a MySpace back in the day. But I believe that with COVID and with Trump, I just think Trump, this was a massive failure. And I think that what Trump did was really lessen respect for the U.S. government. I think he made the U.S. social fabric a little unstable. And when you have instability, people have to rise up and create order.
There's a speed trap ahead.
Thank you for listening.